It all started in middle school when I was around 13 years old. What seemed like a fun thing to do turned out to be the absolute most destructive habit that I have ever encountered in my entire life. It was not until almost 10 years later that I found the NoFap community that gave me the support I needed to finally get rid of my porn addiction. I went from being the most insecure and creepy guy that any woman could ever meet to now being complimented by women for how confident and bold I am when I approach them. I also went from masturbating 5 times per day on a Saturday and laying all day in bed because I was out of energy to now being able to work on 3 YouTube channels that are growing and making money. From personal experience, I can tell you that there's massive potential inside of you and pornography is your greatest enemy. That's why I will share with you my personal story of how I experienced all the benefits of NoFap in hopes of inspiring you to take on your own NoFap challenge. I think that there are a couple of things that you should do before starting your NoFap journey. Even though the problem is watching porn, I highly suggest you abstain from masturbation and orgasm as well for at least 90 days so your brain gets time to rest and reboot. In addition, I recommend you quit social media. You don't need to delete your accounts, but at least delete the apps from your phone and commit to stay away from them during your NoFap journey. Why? Because social media is a big trigger for most guys. Also, I suggest you find some form of accountability. This can be one of your friends or using a habit tracker. That said, make sure to stay until the end of the video because I will share one of the most important takeaways from practicing NoFap for the last 4 years. So let's begin. The first real benefits appear right around day 4. Here is when you stop having self-hatred thoughts that are so common after you relapse. I remember having very negative thoughts like, I'm such a pervert, I will never have a girlfriend, and even, if I keep relapsing, I will be a complete failure in life. The good thing was that a few days later, these thoughts went away and I immediately started feeling a little bit better about myself. Right about the same time, I realized that my thinking was sharper. I always had a tough time trying to remember things and processing information a couple of days after relapsing. It was very difficult to answer questions for me. Working was very difficult because I couldn't focus and my mind always wandered. Fortunately, around day 4, my mental sharpness was back and my brain began to make better decisions, thinking faster and remembering more things. In addition, around day 4, my consciousness stabilized. You might be thinking, what do you mean by that? The thing is that porn caused me a very serious health issue, but more on that later. Moving on, around day 7 and 8, you get a little taste of how your life will change when you get rid of this addiction. There was a study conducted by the scientist Min Jiang in 2003 which showed that after 7 days of abstaining from ejaculation, your testosterone levels increase up to 145%. This in turn makes you feel more motivated and confident and 10 times hornier, which is a good thing if you want to be more successful with the ladies. One day, I was hanging out with some friends. There was one guy who never liked me because I dated his old-time crush. I went to that party with the girl I was dating at that time, and suddenly, this guy made a very rude comment to her in my face. I immediately told him, I don't want you to ever say something like that to her again. I won't tolerate your bullshit. Are we clear? He was shocked. He immediately apologized and went to talk with other people. I was amazed at what I just said. I didn't know I was able to stand up for myself in that way. Another interesting thing that I noticed around day 8 was that talking to women was super easy. Let me clarify that I said talking and not flirting. Back when I PMO'd every single day, I had a lot of trouble talking to women. My mind got overwhelmed with perverted thoughts and with negative thoughts about myself, and this prevented me from having a normal conversation with a woman. Fortunately, around day 8, these thoughts began to vanish and I was able to see women as just people with whom I can talk like I do with men. A few days later, around the second week, I remember having this sudden burst of energy. I felt as if I was on some kind of steroid. Previously, I hated waking up because I was always tired. Working during the day was a hassle and I had difficulty concentrating. But since the second week, I felt amazing. I found myself waking up feeling completely rested. I had all the energy I needed to complete a full day of work and even to hit the gym at night. Unfortunately, this was only a glimpse of what my life was about to look like, because around day 15 to 30, I entered a period referred to as the flatline. This is the time when your brain rewires itself to crave real women instead of pixels on a screen. During this period, it is totally normal to lose motivation and feel a little bit lazy. You will recognize this period because your libido goes to zero. You will not have any interest in anything sexual. But there was also good news for me at that time. At first, I realized that my porn cravings went away. I didn't have any interest in searching for porn. I knew this was my brain restoring itself to its default settings. Another powerful benefit is that your social skills will skyrocket. You will be able to start conversations with completely strangers and you will crave social connections. I remember that during this time I started to make a lot of friends in the gym, especially in the weights area. I was terrified of lifting weights because I was a skinny fat dude and everyone else had huge muscles. The interesting thing was that around day 30 I was no longer afraid and I decided to lift weights to improve my physical appearance. I realized this was a great opportunity to meet new like-minded people. Long story short, I'm now told that I'm one of the most social guys in the weights area because I'm always talking to people and joking around with everyone. People tell me that I go to the gym to socialize, not to train. I would say that I do both. I will tell you something very personal. I used to have eczema on my face, right between my eyebrows and at the sides of my nose. I used to be very embarrassed about it. I spent a lot of money on skincare products because I was very ashamed of it. I didn't want people to see me in a weird way. I also had severe dandruff and my scalp was always irritated and very itchy. I couldn't keep my hair long because it just created more dandruff and irritation. And when I cut it, all the dandruff and irritation became visible, so I felt more ashamed. Interestingly, can you guess what happened after 30 days of NoFap? My freaking eczema, dandruff and irritation on the scalp completely disappeared after 30 days of NoFap. Now, would you like to know something even more personal? My first 30 days NoFap streak was when I was around 23 or 24 years old. Never in my life had I gone more than 3 days without PMO. Therefore, it never surprised me that I hadn't had a wet dream yet. So, after my first 30-day streak, I experienced my first wet dream ever at the astonishing age of 23 years of existence in this world. Want to know something even more personal? I can't believe I'm sharing this. See, from when I was 21 until I was 24 years old, I suffered from a weird disease in which I lost conscious awareness. It was as if I disconnected from this world for a couple of seconds. Obviously, I went to the doctor for help and medicine. But the thing was that the medicine didn't help me and I was sick and tired of this disease. It was absolutely devastating for me. It impacted my friendships, my previous romantic relationship, my self-esteem, my jobs, and my college life. That said, can you guess what happened after my first month of NoFap? This freaking disease went away. Long story short, the periods when I lost conscious awareness were the result of watching porn. Let's move on to the next stop in this journey, which will be the second month of NoFap. The second month is when all the rest of the benefits show up. The first thing that you will notice is that your dopamine sensitivity will dramatically increase. I remember perfectly that one day, after a hard day of work, I went directly to my room. I threw myself directly onto my bed and plugged in my earphones to listen to my favorite music. I felt an insane level of pleasure that I had never felt before. It was as if just being alive made my life amazing. This is one of my favorite benefits because recovering your dopamine sensitivity will make you enjoy every aspect of your life like you have never done it before. I also felt prouder of myself. Being capable of controlling a destructive behavior will inevitably make you feel very good about yourself. In addition, NoFap is very hard, and interestingly, doing hard things makes you feel good about yourself. Even though this can happen at different times for most people, it happened to me around the second month. Coming up next is the benefit that left me speechless. There are a lot of posts on Reddit about how NoFap makes you more attractive to women. I thought they were a bunch of nonsense, but let me tell you, it's 100% true. I think this happens because you start developing confidence and you also get rid of those negative emotions that eroded your self-esteem. If you combine this with taking care of your appearance, you have a powerful combination to improve your dating life. Let me show you how. It was Saturday at noon. I needed some fresh clothes to hang out at night with my best friends, so I went to the mall to get a new shirt. When I arrived at the store, a beautiful woman greeted me and I told her what I was looking for. We walked together to the men's shirt rack and she was very flirtatious with me. She played with her hair, she told me I looked pretty in those shirts, she smiled a little bit too much and she was super helpful with me all the time. She was very pretty and I liked her, so I asked her for her number. Next week, I invited her to have some drinks. As the days went by, we continued dating and suddenly I reached the day 60 of NoFap. From this point on, the benefits became part of my everyday life. This is usually the time when people who have porn-induced erectile dysfunction start recovering. Fortunately for me, I didn't have PIED, so I can't comment on that issue. What I can tell you is that from this moment forward, the benefits will be part of your everyday life. What I totally recommend you is to use your newfound energy to acquire good habits that will make your life more satisfying. In my case, I decided to join a gym, practice volleyball, and work on my side business. The reason why building positive habits is way easier during NoFap is because you are full of energy all the time. To build habits, you will at first need your willpower, and the strength of it is directly related to your energy levels. In addition, NoFap restores your dopamine sensitivity, which in turn makes your good habits feel very pleasurable. For example, a good workout will make you feel satisfied and working long hours will make you feel proud. In the beginning, I told you that I was going to share my most important takeaway from these 4 years of NoFap, and it is this. The real problem is watching artificial sexual stimulation. Whether it's porn, Instagram models, or twerking videos, if you voluntarily seek this material, you have already relapsed. Masturbation and orgasm are not the real enemy. They are a healthy part of your sexuality if practiced in moderation.